Picture this. I'm standing in my kitchen, the faint hum of the refrigerator the only sound breaking the stillness, as I trace the rim of a chipped coffee mug with my thumb. It's not the kind of moment you'd write home about, but it's mine, every single morning. My name's Emily, 29 years old, caught in the quiet rhythm of a life I didn't quite plan. I live in a suburban pocket just beyond the city's restless pulse, where the streets are lined with identical houses, each one a little box of someone's dreams or disappointments. My home is one of those boxes, small and tidy, with beige walls that seem to absorb any hint of color or chaos. There's minimal decor, just a few framed photos and a vase that hasn't held flowers in years. It's not that I don't care, it's more that I've stopped noticing. This place mirrors the simplicity of my days, the monotony that wraps around me like a worn-out blanket. Every morning, I wake up to an empty bed, the sheets on the other side barely wrinkled. I shuffle to the kitchen, brew coffee for one, and watch the steam curl into the air as I wait for the day to unfold. Hours stretch out ahead of me, long and uneventful, while I'm alone in this house. My husband, Nathan, is already gone by the time my eyes open, off to his job as a logistics manager. He's 32, tall with sharp features that could cut glass if you look too long. His eyes, though, they carry this distant gaze, like he's always somewhere else, even when he's right in front of me. There was a time when his laughter filled every corner of our home, a sound so easy and warm, I'd stop whatever I was doing just to hear it. Now I can't remember the last time I heard him laugh, or even speak more than a few clipped words. He works 12-hour shifts, sometimes longer, and when he's home, it's like we're strangers sharing the same space. I've met his close friend Tyler a handful of times at casual get-togethers. A polite and unassuming guy who always seemed to fade into the background. I don't know much about him beyond a few hellos, but his name lingers in my mind for reasons I can't quite place. The silence between Nathan and me, it's not just quiet, it's suffocating, like a heavy fog that seeps into every crack and corner of our life. It's been this way for over a year now, a slow unraveling I didn't see coming until it was too late. We don't share meals anymore. I eat at the counter while he grabs something on the go if he eats at all. His side of the bed feels cold, even on the rare nights he's lying there beside me. I've started to feel invisible, like I'm a ghost haunting my own home, unseen and unheard. There's a loneliness that gnaws at me, and it's in that quiet ache that the smallest things start to feel like lifelines. So, when something, anything, breaks the monotony, I cling to it, even if I don't fully understand why. That's exactly how it felt that evening when Nathan came to me with a request. I can still picture the scene so clearly, like it's playing out in front of me all over again. It was just after dinner, if you can call my solitary meal of reheated leftovers a dinner. I was in the kitchen, elbow deep in soapy water, scrubbing dishes that didn't even need much cleaning, just to keep my hands busy. The clink of plates and the soft rush of water were the only sounds, a kind of white noise I've grown too used to. Nathan was in the living room, sprawled on the couch, the blue glow of his phone screen lighting up his face in the dim light. He hadn't said a word since he got home, not even a hello, just the usual silence that hangs between us like a wall. I could hear the faint tap of his fingers on the screen, scrolling through whatever held his attention more than I ever could these days. Then, out of nowhere, his voice sliced through the quiet, flat, and devoid of any warmth, like he was reading off a script. "Hey, Emily, can you do something for me?" I froze for a second, sponge in hand, water dripping onto the counter, caught off guard by the sound of him actually speaking to me. I turned my head just enough to see him over my shoulder, still glued to his phone, not even looking my way. "Sure," I said, my voice softer than I meant it to be, almost like I was afraid to disturb the moment. He didn't waste any time, didn't soften the edges. "I need you to deliver a box to Tyler. I'm swamped with work, can't get out there myself." He gestured vaguely toward a small cardboard box sitting on the coffee table, one I hadn't even noticed until then. I dried my hands on a dish towel, walking over to get a better look. The box was unremarkable, maybe the size of a shoebox, taped shut with no label, no hint of what was inside. I picked it up, testing its weight. It was light, barely anything to it. But there was this strange heaviness to it too, like it carried more than just whatever was rattling faintly inside. Nathan didn't offer any explanation, just reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled scrap of paper, handing it to me without meeting my eyes. "Here's the address. It's just outside the city. Shouldn't take long." That was it. No please, no thanks. Just the bare minimum. Like always. I stood there for a moment, the box in one hand, the paper in the other, feeling a tiny spark of curiosity flicker inside me. What was in it? Why couldn't he take it himself? But I didn't ask those questions out loud. Instead, I just nodded, even though Nathan wasn't looking at me to see it, and tucked the paper into my pocket. The drive to Tyler's place felt longer than it should have. The box sitting on the passenger seat like a silent companion, taunting me with its mystery. I kept glancing at it, wondering what could be so important, yet so unremarkable that Nathan couldn't handle it himself. The address led me to a quiet neighborhood just beyond the city limits, where the houses were a little older, a little more worn, but had a kind of charm my sterile suburb lacked. I pulled up to a modest bungalow with a sagging porch and a yard that looked like it hadn't seen a mower in weeks. My heart was doing this weird little dance in my chest as I grabbed the box and stepped out of the car, the gravel crunching under my sneakers. I don't know why I was nervous. Maybe it was just the break in routine, or maybe it was the weight of delivering something for Nathan when we barely spoke anymore. Whatever it was, my palms felt clammy as I walked up to the door and knocked. The door swung open, and there he was, Tyler. I'd only seen him in passing before, but standing there, framed by the doorway, he seemed larger than life. He's tall, easily over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that filled the space, like he could carry the weight of the world without breaking a sweat. His faded t-shirt clung to his frame, worn thin at the edges, paired with jeans that looked like they'd seen better days. But it was his face that caught me off guard, a gentle smile playing on his lips, softening the rugged lines of his jaw, and warm brown eyes that seemed to see right through me. Those eyes were nothing like Nathan's cold, distant stare. They held a kind of quiet kindness, like they were inviting me to stay a while. "Emily," he said, his voice soft and smooth, like a warm breeze on a summer day. "Hey, come on in. You can set that down inside." He stepped aside, gesturing for me to enter, and I felt a strange flutter in my stomach as I crossed the threshold, the box suddenly feeling heavier in my arms. His home was nothing like mine. It had this cozy, lived-in feel, like every corner held a story. Books were stacked haphazardly on shelves, some spines cracked from being read too many times, and there was a faint smell of coffee lingering in the air, warm and comforting. A threadbare couch sat in the living room, draped with a mismatched throw blanket, and the walls were covered in faded photographs and little knickknacks that looked like they'd been collected over years. It was messy in the best way, a stark contrast to the sterile silence of my own house, where everything felt like it was just for show. I stood there for a moment, taking it all in, feeling oddly out of place yet strangely at ease, like I'd stumbled into a world I didn't belong in but desperately wanted to. I shuffled toward the kitchen table, a sturdy wooden thing with scratches and stains that told of countless meals and late-night conversations, and set the box down with a soft thud. Tyler followed, his presence filling the small space as he reached for the box, his fingers brushing against mine for just a split second. It was nothing, really, just a fleeting touch, but it sent a jolt through me, like a static shock I couldn't shake off. I pulled my hand back a little too quickly, hoping he didn't notice, and stood there awkwardly, my arms crossed over my chest like a shield. He glanced at me, that gentle smile still there and started making small talk as if it was the most natural thing in the world. "How have you been, Emily? It's been a while since I've seen you around." His voice had this easy rhythm to it, like he genuinely cared about the answer, and I found myself stumbling over my words, giving short, polite responses that felt inadequate. "I'm okay. Just, keeping busy," I mumbled, my eyes darting around the room to avoid meeting his gaze. I felt self-conscious under his scrutiny, like he could see the cracks in the facade I've been holding up for so long. But then, as the small talk faded into a comfortable lull, something shifted. The air grew heavier, charged with an unspoken tension I couldn't quite name. I don't know how it happened, how we got from polite chit-chat to something more, but before I knew it, boundaries blurred, and I found myself caught in a moment I never saw coming. It was like a dam breaking, all the loneliness and longing I'd buried deep inside spilling out in a rush I couldn't control. And now, here I am, standing in the aftermath, the weight of what just happened pressing down on me like a physical force. Tyler's voice cuts through the haze in my mind, casual, almost too casual, as he adjusts the collar of his shirt with a flick of his wrist. "Nathan wanted it all on camera. He wants to see how far you'll go." His words hit me like a punch to the gut, sharp and cold, stealing the air from my lungs. My head snaps up, eyes wide, searching his face for some sign that I misheard, that this is some kind of sick joke. But his expression is unreadable, a mask of calm that only deepens the chill creeping down my spine. My gaze follows his, drawn almost against my will to a small shelf in the corner of the room. There it is, a tiny camera, perched discreetly among a clutter of books and trinkets, its red light blinking steadily, a silent witness to everything that just unfolded. My stomach twists, a nauseating wave of disbelief crashing over me. Nathan orchestrated this? He knew? He wanted this? My mind races, fragments of thought colliding in a chaotic storm. Betrayal stings like a fresh wound. How could he do this to me? Turn something so raw and personal into a spectacle for his own twisted curiosity? But beneath the hurt, there's a sickening realization dawning, one I can't quite face yet. He didn't just know. He planned for this, set the stage, and I walked right into it like a pawn in some game I didn't even know I was playing. I stand there, frozen, rooted to the spot as if the floor has turned to quicksand beneath me. Tyler watches me, his eyes still holding that unreadable glint, like he's waiting to see what I'll do next. I don't speak. I can't. Words feel trapped in my throat, tangled up with the mess of emotions churning inside me. Instead, I move on autopilot, reaching for my clothes with hands that tremble so badly I can barely grip the fabric. I pull my sweater over my head, fumbling with the buttons, each one a small mechanical task that keeps me from completely falling apart. The weight of shame presses down on me, heavy and suffocating, mingling with confusion that clouds every thought. But there's something else there too, something I can't name. A strange, inexplicable thrill that flickers at the edges of my mind, unbidden and unwanted. I push it away, refusing to acknowledge it, as I finish dressing in silence. Tyler doesn't stop me, doesn't say anything more until I'm heading for the door, my steps stiff and unsteady. His voice follows me, low and almost gentle, as if nothing monumental just happened. "See you around." I don't respond, don't look back. I just keep moving, the door clicking shut behind me with a finality that echoes in my ears. The drive home feels like a fever dream, the world outside my car window blurring into streaks of color and shadow. My hands grip the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white, the leather creaking under the pressure. My mind is a broken record, replaying every moment at Tyler's place over and over. The warmth of his touch, the shock of his words, that blinking red light staring at me like an unblinking eye. I can't stop seeing it, can't stop wondering what Nathan saw, what he's thinking right now. Did he watch it live, or is he waiting to review the footage like some kind of twisted highlight reel? The thought makes my skin crawl, but as I pull into the driveway, the familiar outline of our house looms ahead, a silent judge waiting for me to step inside. My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat, each beat a reminder of the storm I'm about to walk into. I sit there for a moment, the engine idling, my hands still clenched around the steering wheel, trying to brace myself for whatever comes next. The porch light is on, casting a faint glow over the front door, but it feels more like a spotlight than a welcome. I cut the engine, the sudden silence deafening, and grab my purse from the passenger seat, the strap digging into my shoulder as I sling it over. My legs feel like lead as I step out of the car, the cool night air biting at my skin, but I barely notice. All I can think about is Nathan, waiting inside and what he's going to say, or if he'll say anything at all. I fumble with my keys at the door, the metal slipping in my shaky fingers, and when I finally push it open, the house feels different, heavier somehow, like the walls themselves know what I've done. The living room is dimly lit, just a single lamp casting long shadows across the beige carpet. And there he is, Nathan, sitting on the couch, a glass of whiskey in his hand. The amber liquid catches the light, glinting as he tilts it slightly, but his face is unreadable, carved from stone. His eyes meet mine, sharp and unblinking, piercing right through me, and for a moment, I feel like I'm shrinking under that gaze, like I'm nothing more than a speck of dust caught in a beam of light. I stand there, frozen in the doorway, my purse still slung over my shoulder, waiting for the storm to break. I expect him to accuse me, to yell, to demand an explanation for what he saw, or what I think he saw. My mind races with excuses I haven't even formed yet, half-baked apologies that feel hollow even in my thoughts. But he doesn't speak. Not at first. The silence stretches on, thick and suffocating, broken only by the faint tick of the clock on the wall. Then, with a deliberate slowness that makes my stomach twist, he sets the glass down on the coffee table, the clink of it against the wood echoing like a gunshot in the quiet room. He leans back, crossing one leg over the other, and finally, his voice cuts through the tension, low and measured, each word dripping with something I can't quite name. "Now it's your turn. Bring someone home yourself." His words hang in the air, heavy with implication, and I feel the ground shift beneath me, like I've stepped into a different reality. I blink, my mouth opening slightly, but no sound comes out. Shock courses through me, cold and electric, mingling with a strange, unexpected relief that I can't fully grasp. He's not angry, not hurt. There's no trace of betrayal in his tone, no fire in his eyes. Instead, there's something else, something almost expectant, like he's been waiting for this moment just as much as I've been dreading it. My breath catches as I process what he's saying, the weight of it settling into my bones. He's not just giving me permission, he's challenging me, laying down a gauntlet I didn't even know I was supposed to pick up. And the strangest part? I don't feel the guilt I thought I would. I've been carrying this weight since I left Tyler's place, this crushing shame that I thought would drown me the second I faced Nathan. But standing here now, looking into his cold, calculating eyes, I feel something else entirely. A dark, unfamiliar curiosity unfurling inside me, like a shadow I've never dared to look at too closely. It's as if a door I didn't know existed has been flung wide open, and instead of running from it, I'm tempted to step through. I don't say anything. I can't. Instead, I just nod slowly, almost imperceptibly, my mind already racing with possibilities I'm not ready to admit out loud. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, the familiar chipped coffee mug cradled in my hands, steam rising in lazy spirals as the morning light pours through the window, painting the room in soft gold. It's quiet, just like always. The hum of the refrigerator, a steady companion to my thoughts. But this morning feels different, heavier, like the air itself is charged with everything that's happened over the past few days. I take a slow sip, the bitter warmth grounding me as I let my mind wander back to that moment at Tyler's. The shock of his words, the unblinking red light of that camera, and Nathan's cold, expectant gaze when I got home. I've replayed it all 100 times, turning each detail over like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit. And yet, as I sit here, staring at the faint ring of coffee stains on the table, I realize something. I don't regret what happened with Tyler. Not really. It's like a dormant part of me, something I didn't even know was asleep, has been shaken awake, raw and hungry for more. My marriage with Nathan, once a suffocating cage of silence, now feels like something else entirely. A strange, thrilling game with rules I'm only just starting to grasp. I don't know if I'm a player or a pawn, but for the first time in years, I'm not just drifting through the days. I'm engaged, alert, feeling the edges of something dangerous and alive. I set the mug down, the soft clink against the wood pulling me out of my reverie, and lean back in the chair, my fingers tracing absent patterns on the table. Nathan's challenge echoes in my mind, his voice low and deliberate, telling me it's my turn to bring someone home. At first, it felt like a trap, a test I was doomed to fail. But the more I've thought about it, the more I've felt this unexpected pull, this urge to meet his dare head-on. I've spent so long feeling invisible, fading into the beige walls of this house, that the idea of taking control, of making a choice on my terms, is intoxicating. I've decided who it's going to be. His name is Alex, a coworker I've known for a while, but never really let myself notice until now. He's got this sly smile, the kind that curves just enough to hint at something mischievous, and a way of looking at me that makes my pulse quicken, like he's seeing past the polite small talk to something deeper, something I've kept buried. I've caught those looks across the break room, over lukewarm coffee and stale donuts, and always brushed them off, telling myself it was nothing. But now, with Nathan's words looping in my head, I can't ignore it anymore. Alex is the one. He's the move I'm going to make in this twisted game. I pull out my phone, the screen lighting up with a soft glow as I scroll to his contact. My thumb hovers over the message icon for a moment, a flicker of hesitation tightening my chest. What am I even doing? But then I think of Nathan's unreadable expression, the way he watched me that night, waiting to see if I'd play along. I type out the message before I can second-guess myself, keeping it casual, light, like it's no big deal. Hey Alex, could use some help with something at the house this afternoon. You free to swing by? I hit send, the little whoosh sound of the message flying off into the digital void, making my heart skip. I set the phone face down on the table, not wanting to stare at it while I wait for a reply, but my fingers twitch with the urge to check anyway. The kitchen feels smaller somehow, the walls pressing in as I imagine what's coming. I know Nathan will be here, lurking in the background, watching just as he wanted. The thought sends a shiver down my spine, a mix of dread and something else, something I'm not ready to name but can't deny. I picture Alex walking through the door, that sly smile spreading across his face, oblivious to the undercurrent of what's really happening. I wonder if I'll feel the same way when he finally learns the truth that I've been keeping hidden for so long. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.